Today on Art Scene we'll feature The Art of Dairy Block, including the culinary arts of Chef Frank Bonanno and Denver Milk Market. A winner of the Mayor's Awards for Excellence in Arts and Culture, Floyd Cerulli. In partnership with Denver Health, an Urban Arts Fund mural, and from TEDx Mile High, Volume Knob by Slam Nuba. Hey, welcome to Art Scene. I'm Bobby Lefebvre. We're here in lower downtown at the super cool new Dairy Block. Now this historic block used to be home to Windsor Dairy and is now a great place to eat, drink, shop, and stay. And of course, there's some artistic homage to the history here. So let's start with an art moment with some of the visual arts from Dairy Block. And now from the visual arts to the culinary arts. I'm here with Chef Frank Bonanno of Denver Milk Market. Frank, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Bobby. It's a pleasure.
So what are we about to do right now?
So I was going to make you one of our signature pizzas, and it just happens to be my favorite pizza. It's the prosciutto pizza.
The prosciutto.
So I'm going to just start with one of our doughs. It's a pretty simple recipe, but we just need to give this a quick stretch.
Okay.
And here at the Milk Market at the Pasta Pizzeria, we make like an individual pie, so it's about 12 inches.
Okay. Now this is an amazing space. How many restaurants and bars are contained here at the Milk Market?
We have 16 concepts in this market.
16. Wow. And this particular location, what is this called? If people wanted to come and get this pizza, where are we at?
So we're at Bonanno Brothers Pizzeria. This was one of my favorite concepts that we did here. And this is just artisanal, my spin on artisanal pizza, right? It's not traditional Italian, it's not wood-fired, it's just really good pizza that I like to make, and just something fun.
As a culinary artist, what's your favorite thing about the work that you do?
I love cooking. I don't often get to do enough cooking, but I love just working with my hands. This is truly, when you come to the Milk Market, you will either see me here making pizza or working at the pasta station, which is Monopasteria. But that's what I love. I love the cooking. I love stretching dough. I love working with my hands, and I love to eat good food.
We're putting the toppings on the pizza. I see you got the cheese on there. What's next?
I put a little San Marzano tomatoes, a little bit of the fresh mozzarella that we make, a little Parmesan cheese, and it's ready to go in the oven.
All right. Yum. And so the prosciutto goes on next.
So yeah, we'll put the prosciutto on, and I like to be pretty generous with the prosciutto because this is one of my favorite things. Do you like prosciutto?
I love it. Absolutely.
You should try it. Make sure it's good.
That's wonderful. You said this is right from Italy.
Yeah, from Parma, Italy.
Yum, that's good.
So we'll just put a little bit of olive oil on here.
Okay.
A little olive oil on our arugula. Some fresh lemon juice. So what we want to do is slice it. So you cut through that prosciutto.
Yeah. Oh, it smells good.
And then we just garnish it with this. And like the lemon, because this is such a rich, fatty pizza with the prosciutto, the lemon on the arugula really cut through it. And I don't know, then to eat it. Might be hot.
That's good.
But that's a good prosciutto pizza, right? A little bit different by not cooking the prosciutto on it. It's just fresh and melts right into it.
That's great. All right, we are going to have more with Chef Bonanno later in the show, and I understand there's gelato involved. Is that right?
There absolutely is gelato involved.
I'm always down for that. But next up, we have a Mayor's Awards for Excellence in Arts and Culture winner, Floyd Cerulli. That's good.
Yeah, it's good, right?
I've been involved as a community volunteer with SCFD over many, many years. I got to know Floyd on the various campaigns that all of us worked on. In the 70s, all the arts were struggling in Denver. And from that period came these enormous ideas like SCFD. And Floyd was embedded right in the center of it because not only was he committed to the arts and culture, but he was a major poller and a political advisor. To win a sales tax in the whole metropolitan area took a lot of political acumen, which we all needed because we were all community volunteers.
It's a tax district, so it has to go to the voters. And it went for the first time in 1988, and I ran the campaign with volunteers and all the big cultural organizations, and it passed by 75% in the 6-county area. It was sort of a miracle because it began providing about $15 million for the cultural organizations. And we're talking the zoo and the art museum and the natural history museum, botanic gardens, and then hundreds of other smaller organizations. Over the years has translated into about 60 million today. So it's an important piece of their budget for all these great cultural amenities here in the Denver metro area.
It's not the easiest thing to convince voters to do this. If it were easy, the rest of the country would have done it. We are the only ones, and Floyd says we're the only ones in the US, we're the only ones in the world who do something like this.
One of the things I have done is both volunteer to help in the interim, but also run the campaigns when it's time to run a campaign. I was able to give them some guidance from my experience with political science and law and polling and the media. And so it was just a lucky mix that came together. We are just so lucky that the voters have consistently looked at it and said, this is worth keeping, let's do it.
It's a pivotal role. That's not to say a ton of other people don't have pivotal roles in doing this, but from the standpoint of a political strategy, that's a hard thing, and Floyd has hung on to that.
This exists because the civic community comes together and works for it. In other words, the business community, you see your chambers of commerce come together and work for it. You see your foundations come together and work for it. This is one of those things where people really sort of unite. Denver continues to grow. The city is a success, and at least one reason is because of our fabulous cultural amenities.
All right, so we are here at the alley of the Dairy Block. There's a lot of new restaurants and shops opening up, and there is great art just about everywhere you look, including some cool interactive art. So we are here with Nikki Pike, who is the artist for these. Tell me exactly what this is called and how you paired this music with it.
This is called the Musical Churns, and the music is paired by members of the Colorado Symphony. 7 different members with side projects made a 15 to 30 second ditty that I choreographed to the lighting.
Wow, and how many of these are here on the alley?
7 throughout the alley to discover, all totally different.
That's amazing. Well, hey, look, we will be right back with more art scene, including a Denver Urban Arts Fund mural, Slam Nuba, more with Dairy Block, and Denver Milk Market. And we are back on Art Scene with more art from Dairy Block.
Dairy Block has a really unique story. It kind of has this sort of flow of the past and the present and also the future, built around this history of the Windsor Dairy property. Hi, my name is Chris Roth. I'm Associate Curator with 9 Dot Arts. Part of the challenge of an alley is like, how do you take the general idea of this dark, dingy space where people don't want to hang out and enliven it and make it somewhere where people do want to spend time. One theme that comes up again and again is this idea of the maker and things that are handmade and handcrafted in our art selection process. That was really a driving force. One of the goals of the alley in general at Dairy Block was to create a space that was what they called activated. So people could interact and really experience it in lots of different ways. One of the major art components in the alley that you'll see are various murals that are sort of scattered throughout the space. You know, we wanted to kind of give each artist an opportunity to do something that was really unique to their own style. It's really just amazing to see you know, people using the space and coming down here and hanging out and, you know, having a drink, grabbing a cup of coffee, getting a snack, something like that. I think that it really just livens it up a little bit.
All right, and here he is in person, Chris Roth with 9 Dot Arts. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
So you curated all of the art for the entire Dairy Block project, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How many pieces are we talking about here?
So we have over 700 artworks here by close to 50 local artists.
That's amazing. And through this process, what did you enjoy most, and was there anything rather difficult?
Well, this piece was a little bit of both. This is a large-scale sculpture by an artist down in Colorado Springs, Andrew Tirado. Getting this piece up was both challenging and a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Chris. This is really, really amazing. And folks can just come out here and check out the art, right?
Yeah.
They can just stop by. That's the
Anytime
easiest
they
way.
want to. Yep.
Great. All right. Well, next up, we have a very special partnership between the Urban Arts Fund and Denver Health.
This building's been here for a while, and just walking through the corridors, I really felt like it was begging for color, for vibrancy, for life.
I think the murals have multiple functions. They are intended to make the clinic a more positively decorated space. They're also intended to be messages of empowerment. A lot of times when you're dealing with addiction and recovery, you know, people really have a grim illustration or picture of that.
I hope it serves its purpose, and I hope people really reflect. What it ended up being is tying in themes of hands, helping hands, healing hands. The lotus theme, which is a flower growing out of murkiness and mud, or where other flowers definitely wouldn't be able to thrive. Transformation, catalysts, that's where the caterpillars come in. The butterflies are the change.
Frank did a really nice job of showing through his art a message that we see every day that's a message of hope and recovery.
The way that I merged the participation with the patients and the staff was to let them create their own lotuses, their butterflies, their caterpillars, their lockets.
They experience so much stigma in their daily lives. To walk in and recognize that they're part of a story that's going to grow and evolve, I hope is very meaningful for them.
I love being here. I just feel the warmth, I feel the gratitude, I feel the staff needed this work in their day-to-day regimen because they're dealing with a lot of responsibility.
It's for people to see something different every time, and to see something, especially if they participated, that they did, and kind of feel a little bit of sense of pride and ownership.
That's what our world needs, is taking the time to work on these types of projects that are very meaningful and really make a positive difference in a day-to-day basis.
It's been very special, I think about it. This is one of the only actually, mural projects that I take home with me every day. With these people, it's been a wonderful experience so far.
So we made some pizza and now it's time for dessert. What are we doing here?
So the hard part's already been done. I made a coconut gelato base. We're just gonna pour it in the machine and let the machine do its magic.
All right.
We just turn the machine on,
Okay.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. And so for those who may not know, what's the big difference between ice cream and gelato?
So gelato has less cream, more milk, very few eggs. And it's spun a little bit slower, so there's not as much air in it, so it's not as fluffy, and that's why it's a little more dense, and you serve it slightly warmer than you do ice cream.
Well, I can't wait to try this coconut. It smells amazing already. I can't wait to try that. So I have had the opportunity to be a TEDx speaker 2 times, once with Slam Nuba. This is Volume Knob.
So recently, one of my students asked me what my favorite flower was. And at the risk of sounding stupid, I told them that it was a dandelion. To which they were quick to inform me that a dandelion is in fact not a flower, it's a weed. Which I thought was a good answer, an educated answer. But what I found funny about it, and what I decided to tell them, was that I was willing to believe that they thought that dandelion was a flower before someone else came along and told them that it wasn't. Score 1 for Teach. But of course, this isn't a new debate. Do we consider dandelions flowers or weeds? What we do know is that they originated in both Eurasia and North America, and now seem to exist pretty much anywhere that an angry lawnmower does. They're notorious for being difficult to get rid of, and they seem to live for little more than to just perpetuate their own species as often as possible. Now, the poet in me can't help but see the humanity in that. I like to imagine thousands of bright-cheeked children blowing dandelion seeds onto perfectly manicured lawns, leaving behind a riot of yellow, prickly reminders of how unimportant all of our definitions actually are. Of course, I also understand that a poet standing around talking about flowers is about as cliche as saying that God is a Broncos fan because sunsets are orange. But that's a funny word to define as well, right? Cliche. Because one man's cliche could be another man's epiphany, the same way that one man's flower could be another man's weed. And both, just like poets, have been popping up all over the place since the beginning of history.
Before the written word, there was the spoken. In fact, Socrates once argued that writing is inhuman, that it attempts to turn living ideas dwelling in the human mind into mere objects in the physical world. Now, poetry has often been mistaken as some kind of synonym for the esoteric, but I argue that it's often saying the simplest thing that is the most complex and risky. I love you. No. I'm sorry. When we say those things, they become experiments. We relinquish control over what happens thereafter. There is bravery in the simple act of speaking. In ancient Mexico, the Mexica, or Aztec people, had a rich poetic tradition. They called it in Xochitlincuicat, which translates to English as in flower and song. Once again, we see this theme of flowers, this time over 500 years old, proving that, and I hate to sound cliche, but there really is nothing new under the sun. Poetry is the art of trying to say something with words that cannot be said in words. It is language's clumsy attempt at making music. And this sound we create exists whether confined by shape or without structure, and it grows and pops up everywhere.
During my piano lessons as a child, my teacher became acutely aware of my fingers' clumsy attempts to try to rewrite the poetry that the composer intended. Spoken word poetry will always be a jazz cannonball stuffed into a classical cannon. Every live performance is an experiment. Like blowing seeds onto a bar of sheet music in the place where the music note should be, we literally do not know upon which line they will choose to grow, and therein lies the risk. For example, some of the most exquisite classical and contemporary works have been written in the key of B-flat major. Beethoven's Fourth Symphony or the theme to Avatar have all been written in some B-flat variant, but take a half a step up from the key of A, and these exact same notes could be known as A-sharp major. Does the fact that no one refers to these notes as A-sharp major take anything away from the impact of its artistry? What matters more than what it does to you subjectively and the magic that puts you in rapport with the creator's original intent? I mean, think about it. If it weren't for sincere, spontaneous artistic expression, the only other way to hear the contents of the human heart would be through the barrier of a rib cage. Sincerity in a world full of pretension and barriers is exactly why poetry in all of its manifestations persistently flowers as the weed of all art forms. As beautiful as it is savage in its necessity, both risky and calculated all at once.
The following is a dedication to those brave enough to speak regardless of the risk. The following is an experiment in noise.
In A-sharp major.
This is not a heart, it's a volume knob. You turn it this way when you wish to scream. You turn it this way when you wish to whisper. It is a gift and carries much weight with it. Your chest can feel as heavy as an ocean. There is more than enough silence beneath the surface for you to drown in. Be careful. It is a weapon and can hurt people. Their ears will not be ready for your anthem. So speak with purpose. Sound without shape is static, and you were not born a dead channel. You were born screaming.
Does music belong to its instrument or the ears that hear it?
If one receives a gift, it belongs to them and not the gift giver.
So when you tell someone your name, does it still belong to you? Branches,
violin strings,
the wind,
a bone,
music notes,
hummingbirds,
eardrums,
flowers,
epithets,
shotguns,
humans,
targets.
This is not a heart, it's a volume knob. That makes your veins wires. If your veins are wires,
then your limbs are speakers.
If your limbs are speakers,
then movement is a song.
Running,
song,
dancing,
song,
kissing,
song,
fighting.
Song.
So choir, many choirs. Holy,
holy,
little fist, leave the world dancing in your headphone dust.
Drenched in speaker sweat.
Covered in eardrum graffiti
and invite them all into your sonic temple.
Alone.
You
are
just
one
word.
Together
we make a sentence. Together we have purpose. This is not a heart, it's a volume knob. With this you can sing many songs.
Joy,
acceptance,
humility,
forgiveness,
fear,
hate,
love,
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 love, love, love. Remember that last refrain when the waves come.
They will come. They will try and mute you.
They will try and drown you with their talking. They will try and sharpen your shoulder blades.
They will try and convince you to cleave off your wings by shrugging from the weight of
that
them.
the burden is too much to carry.
That you deserve silence.
They will try and deafen you.
They will try and deafen you by firing their guns, by firing their guns. Put your guns away, our weapons in our chests.
Your body is an arsenal.
Your gut a foxhole.
Your lungs are magazines meant to carry the ammunition of your breath. Your throat is a barrel and your tongue a trigger. Click against the war drum of your jaw and echo the sound, no! No!
You will not touch me.
No! You will not call me that word.
No!
I will not move.
Because a bullet cannot hurt an ocean, and waves are just static atop its depth, and you are louder than this bloody experiment in noise. A transmission sent straight through Bullhorn of
By
Tongue.
the soapbox that got lodged in your throat.
On the day they told you to swallow your pride.
And you are louder than this. You are raucous. You are opus.
So shatter the silence and proclaim yourself.
Turn up your volume knob so loud they never forget.
And hand the world your name like it was a gift.
Your spine
Straighter than a ship's mast. Held higher than full sails. Static crashing like waves breaking against your bow. The bullets of their lips firing, but missing with every shot. Thank you.
Now that was one of my favorite live performances ever. So we are back here with Chef Frank Bonanno. We're just wrapping up with this batch of gelato. So tell me about this. We're almost done, yeah?
Yeah, so this is just about all of it coming out. This is the very end of it.
Okay.
This is where you want to make sure. So this is before all the seasoning. So just nice clean coconut.
That's good, it's smooth.
Yeah. So we'll get this to all come out.
Okay.
And we're just about there. So we'll just close this off.
Got it.
And then we want to just make it look pretty to finish it off. So we'll put a little extra coconut on it. Just some toasted coconut to finish it.
Yep.
And then we want to top it off with the pineapple caramel.
Okay. Yum. That smells so good.
So then you get to try the finished product.
All right.
With some of the caramel and the toasted coconut in
Well,
it.
hey, thanks Chef Bonanno for having
Pleasure.
us. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to come out here to check out all this goodness at the Denver Milk Market and the Dairy Block. I'm Bobby Lefebvre. We'll see you next time as we discover more of Denver's art scene. That's the one.